Hey, everybody. Welcome to PDQ Live. Today, we're joined by Jeff from SmartDeploy, and today we're talking about Intune and Autopilot versus SmartDeploy, when to use the right tool for the job.
Yes.
And we're also going to talk about some of the new features that have come out in the latest version of SmartDeploy.
Yep.
So I think the first thing we want to do is let Jeff kind of walk us through some of the new things that have come out, right?
Yeah. Hi, Jeff.
Phone in.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Great to be here.
So this latest release, it's, what is it, 3.0.2010? Is that right?
Yeah.
That looks like a date. Doesn't it look like a date?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
It's like Stardate.
I know,
Or something
You
like
nailed
that.
it.
That was hard. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff here, but it seems to me that the biggest one is the patches. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Yeah. So the patch features, the patch updates are kind of our biggest push with our latest releases. So yeah, we've added a few new features there and just looking to improve on it.
Cool.
Okay.
Talk me through it. Like, what's new? How does it work? Explain to me like I'm 5.
Yeah. So basically what we've done is we are releasing kind of incremental upgrades to be able to manage patch devices. So I can share my screen if we could have a little visual aid.
Whoa, fancy.
Yeah. So in past upgrades, so we first added the patch management, and that allowed us to do the patch statistics here, where we can see, what machines we have, how many patches are available. Then we'd be able to enable Microsoft updates, push out all those. That was more of an all or nothing kind of thing. Just force the machine to run all those updates, tell us if it needs a reboot, tell us if anything failed, things like that. The latest feature that we've added is these patch details. So this allows us to see everything that's available for these KBs and these upgrades here. So I can go in and I can see how many machines need this patch, and I can just go ahead and view which clients. So I know that all these machines need these updates. Then I can go ahead and just install these as I would like to. So I can really go a little more in depth in what I am putting onto these machines. And that does include, these little Lenovo and Intel Realtek updates as well included in there. We can also go to computer management and select machines individually to see what pending updates I have as well. And then I can pick and choose and run those updates.
Gotcha. So you can view it holistically from all patches available in your environment to I want to drill into a single machine, all the way down to I want to install this very specific patch.
Yep, exactly. Cool. Yeah, I can push it out to all of them, force it to just update. I can select individual for all the ones that need it, or I can do it to individual machines. Cool.
And the patches that are getting returned off of this, that's based off of where that machine is currently configured to look for updates, whether that's some internal repository or just regular Microsoft Windows update, right?
Correct. Yep.
Cool.
And that support link, I'm guessing, is self-explanatory. If I click on that, it's going to tell me more about that update.
Yep. If you want to dig into what exactly it's updating.
Cool.
Exactly.
So if I want to take action, Jeff, which is the best place to take action? From the computer details page or back on the patch statistics page, or where?
I would say the patch detail page, just because you can really pick and choose what you're updating. If you don't, you don't care, you just want it to update, then patch statistics is a great place to go, because then you could just force all these machines to update and just be done with it.
Okay.
Nice. It actually looks like we have a couple of questions very specific to SmartDeploy. Kelly, I don't know if you've got them queued up, but I think that first question from Just Rob would be awesome.
Almost have them queued up, and right now we do. Look at that.
Nice.
Can we schedule driver/Windows updates to install in the background and have it prompt the user to reboot instead of prompting the user to install and then not doing so? Just Rob.
Ooh. That's a good question. We could tell it to update at a certain time, and then we could also allow users to defer it. So it wouldn't run the updates first, and then tell them if they want to reboot now. We could just let them know that we're going to run an update. But SmartDeploy doesn't by default force a reboot on the machine, so you could schedule it to reboot later. So you could just run the updates and then schedule a reboot later.
Cool. All right. I think it's a time to jump into the meat of this webcast, right?
Well, Josh, Jeff, do you want to tell us anything else about these updates? Because there's a couple other things.
You're right. I skipped right over. My bad.
Are there any other of these things in this release that you want to walk us through? I see there's some differences to the logs. What else strikes you as important in this release?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things, so I'm just going to share my screen again here.
Sure.
Another thing that we added is it used to be you'd have to go to your C drive, to the SmartDeploy folder to grab the logs. But now just to make it easier, we can go to Tools and we can go to Collect Logs, save a zip file. This does include event logs and a lot of other ones as opposed to just the standard logs that we could gather there. So if you're ever running into issues and want to dig a little bit deeper, we can collect it, file it into a zip file. If you want to send that over to support, if you don't want to look at them yourself or anything like that, we just made it a lot easier to do so.
Okay. And then I know if I want to see that services are running, you made that change as well, right? When I sign in, how do I validate that my service is running on login?
Yep, exactly. So the other thing that we did was we have a SmartDeploy API service, and that has a dependency on the MongoDB service. Sometimes people are running into issues where the API service wasn't running. Mm-hmm. So what we've changed is SmartDeploy will go in and just make sure that service is running as well. So it's a little bit more fluid. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to go into services to make sure those things are running. We just do it automatically and try to do it. So if you're running into an issue there, the service should be running, and then it's usually, a port is being taken or it's being blocked. We just removed a lot of the chances of something going wrong.
Yeah, so you don't have to go dig down to services and find it yourself. Love it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
I see a couple other ones on here. I mean, people can read for themselves, but is there anything else that you want to cover?
Nothing specific. Those are kind of the biggest ones that we've changed.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Well,
I'm excited for this.
We have questions. We want to wait for the questions till later. Kelly, you want to take them now?
Well, the questions that we have are really kind of feature requests.
Those are my favorite. All right.
Okay. All right. So now Josh and I are going to talk.
We're going to talk. We're going to have a discussion, right?
Yes,
We're going to have a discussion on tooling.
Yeah.
Right. And like all things in IT, mm-hmm. There's so many ways to do a task. Mm-hmm. And it ultimately, like, given enough time and a terminal, you can do anything. But is that the right approach? Mm-hmm. Not always. So let's talk Autopilot versus SmartDeploy.
Okay.
So maybe we should take a step back, and before we start to compare features or things like that, let's talk about some like fundamental differences between how these two products provision a device.
Well, one of them is not a provision. One is an image,
exactly.
And one of them is provision. And I'm going to back you up a second because I think this needs to be clear if you're not used to it. You can't use Autopilot if you haven't already set up Intune.
Correct.
So I'm not going to piece them apart.
Yeah, there's a building block. They stack on top of each other. Mm-hmm. You do have to have Intune. You have to have groups. Mm-hmm. You have to have Entra ID. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of prerequisites
There's
here.
a lot of work going into it. So it's not, pretend you're not you. So, pretend you're a one-man shop. There's a lot of heavy lifting that goes into putting that together.
Yeah, and we can get into this of like, hey, when would I choose this or the other? Mm-hmm. So I think for the as we start this conversation, we'll back out and we'll pull out different scenarios, different IT teams, all kinds of different things like that about when we may or may want to use a different type of tool. Okay,
so we're going to say Intune and Autopilot are provisioning tools, okay?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to call, and I know you're going to freak out, I'm going to call Intune my group policy in the cloud. I know it's not exactly group policy, calm down.
Oh, my eyes just rolled so hard.
It's kind of group policy because I'm going to change the behavior of a computer. I'm going to make the computer do stuff. Okay?
You're going to modify what's already there.
Yes, I'm going to modify what's already there.
Okay.
I'm going to use Autopilot to provision a computer with the OS that it came with. I can't change the OS that the computer came with, okay? So that's provisioning.
Yes.
Now, SmartDeploy is a true imaging.
Yes.
Okay.
This is,
different.
I'm going to rip what is there off. And I'm going to replace it with exactly what I want.
Exactly.
So
including OS.
I'm a fan of silly metaphors. So for me, provisioning is like, imagine if I have a bunch of Play-Doh in front of me. Mm-hmm. Autopilot is the equivalent of like taking some Play-Doh and squishing it into a mold to make it come out the way I want it to come out. And can I get like the super great fidelity of everything in there? Maybe I want this very specific thing. Well, it depends on if Intune will do it for me. If it won't, I'm just kind of left with what it gives me. And in some cases, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Right? Now, SmartDeploy, on the other hand, is if I have all of the clay in front of me and all of the tooling to sculpt this a very perfect, pristine, I want it this specific way.
Well, I need it that specific way because of something in my environment that dictates it. And I personally have had that situation.
Yeah.
Broadcasting is
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Let's dive through some of these scenarios on when I'll take the stance for sake of this conversation. I'll take the stance of I like Autopilot, and there are certain use cases that works for me. You take this stance of SmartDeploy.
Yes.
And when it works for you.
Team SmartDeploy.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
So if I don't have very strict requirements
Okay.
at all, and I just need to get laptops to people occasionally, and they need to be ish configured because I don't have really on-prem applications.
Ish.
Yeah. Ish.
Okay, that's
Like,
key.
Ish.
You don't have on-prem applications that are persnickety.
Persnickety.
That's important.
And
Okay.
good enough works for me. It's
Okay.
just good enough.
And make sure you say you're not time bound because that's another big thing.
Yeah. And maybe we'll dive into that in a second after we get through some of these scenarios. I think there's a bigger nuance between these two products of an imperative management style.
Yeah.
Of I need this to happen right now. I need you to go make this change right this second in this
Quick.
way. And then there's one of I need you to remediate yourself eventually. Right?
Yeah. On my own time frame, whenever I want to.
So okay, so scenario. I've got 300 computers. I work at a school. I've got 300 computers. I need to have them out this week. I need to know for a fact that they will all have these apps and they will all be configured.
The desktop's going to look a certain way.
Yep.
And I have to have it done by Friday.
Because it's a computer lab. I'm refreshing a computer lab at a school district.
Or I will refresh it every Friday.
Yeah, I'm not going to use Intune for that.
No, you never would.
I'm not going to use
because
Autopilot for that. Even if I skip that out-of-box experience, which you can do in Intune, you can skip it. Troubleshooting when one of those goes wrong is really, really hard.
Well, not only that, because I have worked in a school and I've had that exact scenario. You can set it to do it on a Friday night as you leave.
Yeah.
You need a certain OS because say you have proprietary software that only works with a certain OS and you want to hide certain things. And Windows 11 is actually making it harder and harder to suppress things. And so that would be the exact scenario where you need it to be a certain way exactly.
Yeah.
SmartDeploy wins in that one. It wins because if you've ever imaged with Autopilot, good luck on triggering it when you want it.
Yeah, if you've never used Autopilot, the basic premise is the machine comes online after you've already registered. Let's talk about that too. You've already registered this device into Intune.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a handful of ways to do it. This was actually the hardest part for me in testing Autopilot is getting it so when I bought a machine from an OEM or a reseller,
Setting up
it
that relationship.
automatically showed up into Intune. Like that was actually really cool.
Yeah.
But doing that took a ton of work. There's all of these unspoken layers of work that exist.
Yeah, well, you can do the URL, but that also takes time. And then it's a one-off. You're touching every single machine, and you don't want to do that. And you also forgot I have to enroll my users. So I have to have all that work beforehand.
Yes.
That's why I said you have to have Intune set up. So I'm just going to call this out because I think it's true. And we promise to have an honest discussion. You can't be a brand new person and jump into the 365 world because it's huge.
It's hard.
You have to have a certain skill set to understand all the building blocks that go into even starting using Autopilot.
And you have to agree and subscribe to the Microsoft kind of pushed philosophy that is Intune and MDM of this declarative style.
Yeah,
Which for
I
some
agree.
people, it works really
agree.
well.
Yeah.
I subscribe to it.
Yeah.
I think it's good for most tasks. But at the same time, I augment it with other tools because most of the time good enough isn't good enough.
Well, I'm not the most patient person. We all know this. So I stood up Intune and Autopilot in our pretend tenant.
Yep.
And I actually really love 365. I'm a big fangirl. I do. I love it. I love configuring things. I love conditional access. I love configuration policies. What I don't love is the immediacy of it. It makes me crazy. It's like, I'm going to do it when I want and you can suck it. I hate that.
Yeah.
So I love a tool like SmartDeploy that when I say go, it's like, yes, I will do it right now. I love the transparency. I love the immediacy of it. And for large scale deployments that I need to be exactly the way they are, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
So you said about broadcasting. So we had the radio for Kelly's machines, actually. They used to use an automation system called DAD. And it only worked with, back in the day, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I don't know how long, it worked with XP, which really hurt my head. But you had to downgrade the OS, and then you had to have it be exactly this configuration. So I could never have used Intune for something like that. And there was a myriad of other situations at that job where I could never have used Intune. So it's very environmentally specific. And like you said, right tool, right job.
Yeah. I was talking to Julian. We had Julian on the show before. I actually talked to him this morning as I walked in the door. I think you heard part of the conversation. We were talking about this of what is this, hey, we're going to talk about Intune. We're going to talk about Autopilot. We're going to talk about SmartDeploy today. And he told this to me, which I thought was brilliant, was he's like, look, it's like comparing a dump truck to a small sedan or like a car, right?
Yeah.
Both of them are vehicles. Both of them will get you from A to B. Mm-hmm. But if you're driving around downtown in a major city, do you want to be in that dump truck? Probably freaking not.
No, I
now,
don't.
let's say you're out and you need to haul gravel, 300 miles away. Mm-hmm. I don't want the little sedan. And so it's like, it's choosing the right tool for the job. Like, can you shoehorn this to make it work the way you want it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But should you? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, like Intune is that dump truck. Autopilot's that dump truck. Like it's an okay task. It's good at moving large things. If I've got a large fleet of Windows devices, if I've subscribed to declarative management styles, if I'm cloud native, as much as I dislike that term, then it's good for you. If you need to be nimble, you need to be quick. You need to be able to re-image something and fix things in a timely manner. It's not going to be the right tool for the job.
Yeah, and again, I really want to call this out, Josh, because I think it's important. Do you have the skill set and the time to learn Intune? Because there is a human capital component to it. And remember, I'm Team SmartDeploy. You can stand up SmartDeploy in a day.
Yeah, nobody can just go drive a dump truck. Like you have a CDL, you have a license. Like we'll drag this metaphor out for as long as we need to, right?
Well, yeah, and so let's be fair. You could use SmartDeploy in combination with the config profiles in Intune. You could use those in combination. You could, right? And you're not using Autopilot because you're doing imaging and behavior management, right?
Correct.
You would do those in combination.
We've had this conversation on this specific show from I think the day that I started here. Mm-hmm. And it started way back when, I think Kelly brought it up yesterday. We used to have this question often, hey, how do I manage printers with deploying inventory? Mm-hmm. And we'd always say, you can. And we did webcasts on it.
Yeah.
But really the right tool for the job at that time was group policy.
Yeah.
And I think it's the exact same comparison here. It's choose your tooling based off of what you're trying to do.
Right. And what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I think that's important, actually.
Yeah.
If it's really hard for you and you can't wrap your head around it, why are you using it?
Exactly.
I don't know.
So I think other use cases where Autopilot falls flat on its face, I feel like I'm arguing the wrong side of the fence. I'm arguing against myself.
I like this, though. Yes.
All right. Let's say that you're a managed service provider.
Okay.
Right. You're an MSP. You've got 14 different clients. Mm-hmm. You're small and you serve 14, 15 different clients. Do those clients want to pay for Intune? Do they want to pay the at minimum $6? Maybe they're a Google Workspace shop, right? So you don't want to have them.
Oh, you don't even have it 365.
They don't even have it.
Well, then
you can go buy the P1 license that gets you there. I think it's less price is something like $6 a month. But do you want to go through all of that effort of setting up that one-to-one relationship of client to Autopilot to device? Or would you rather use a tool that just allows you to be like, hey, I've got the 14 different images for my 14 different clients.
That one.
And I can just pop them in as I need to replace hardware.
Does it come with that? I thought you needed an E3 to do Intune and Autopilot. Am I crazy?
I'm pretty sure you need... this is why people have PhDs in Microsoft
Nobody knows the
licensing.
licensing. Okay,
I'm pretty sure you need P1.
Okay.
And that'll get you the bare minimum SKU.
But if I'm not even a 365 shop, I'm not going to learn Intune. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say that I am a school district and I have computer labs.
Then I'm never going to use Intune. I've done that. Not with Intune, but I've managed labs.
I've never worked K through 12, so I can just like think about it.
Well, so the school is very cyclical. You do things on a schedule. It's not like other IT jobs where you're pushing things out continually because, first of all, kids are sneaky. So you, rather than continually pushing things like a group policy, we used to do it every Friday. We would just erase the labs and then lay down the image, so start fresh. So I used Jamf. It was a Mac place, but I would pick SmartDeploy for that.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Just reset.
And because, I'm just going to be fair. We said we'd have a really honest conversation. Yeah. That was 12, 15 years ago for me. I don't know. I can't do math right now, but they were on-prem applications. So, some things have changed because we moved a little bit more SaaS-based. But traditionally, education is their hard software is finicky.
Yeah.
So you have to contend with those kind of issues. You need things to be just right.
Yeah. Similarly, like just because you need things to be just right to work, let's say you work in a high compliance environment.
Yeah, another one.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So many ways to go about this high compliance thing. You see things from like thin clients VDI to virtualized applications in the browser. A common approach is also just ensuring that as machines hit your users, you know they're in a compliant state.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it with other tooling. Like you get something in front of you, you can look at all of the HIPAA, the high tech, the PCI, whatever, insert your acronym here, whatever you have to be compliant with, to know that as your machines are hitting the fleet, they're already good to go.
Yeah.
And that you're maintaining a base state.
Yeah.
Instead of having to like constantly play the remediation game, you're only going back to a norm, back to a known good.
Exactly. Well, and Tim pointed out, and I think that's a really good point, Chromebooks are better for education. See, we didn't have Chromebooks back then. So, but see, I like what you said. You're guaranteed it's going to be in the state that you need from a compliance standpoint.
Yeah.
Government is another one.
Government's another one.
The government that I worked for, so behind the times. Old machines. That would be another situation where I would definitely want to get my image just right, just perfect. Old software that we were using, like really old. So I would want to have it exactly the way I wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing is the network was ridiculously slow too. So I probably wouldn't want my policy configuration to be pushed out like that.
Be a WAN link?
No, I would not.
Okay. You can set up, for sake of semantics, you can set up internal mirrors for Autopilot. It's a lot of work. But you can
Again, it's the human capital component. So I think you have to think about all those things. So Tim's like, government behind the time, never? Yeah, I think you got to have these discussions with your team and decide.
Let's talk about another thing that you should draw some comparisons on.
Okay.
Nothing ever works all the time.
No.
Like even the best software breaks, even the best software you have to troubleshoot. Troubleshooting a failed deployment in Intune or Autopilot.
Just the worst. Do? I yell a lot and I throw things around.
She swears.
I'll tell you what I do.
What?
I just restart the device until it works.
Yeah, and I did that. But you know what really bothers me? And you actually answered this question, so it might just be that I didn't research enough. What really bugs me in Intune/Autopilot is there was no trigger that I could initiate from the console. I hate that. I didn't know of one that I could trigger on the machine aside from the restarting. I like that about SmartDeploy. I like that I can go, what are you doing? Tell me your update. Tell me your status. So I like that.
Yeah, well, again, this is a difference between imperative versus declarative device management. Like that immediacy is not there.
No, I hate it.
Like you can be on a device, you can kick some services around on a machine to ask it nicely to check in. Yeah. Remember that, most MDMs have an exponential back off. Of a device checks in, hey, is there changes for me? No. Okay, come back in 10 minutes. The next time they come back, there's still no changes. Okay, now come back in an hour. Right? Yeah. It's to back those machines off. It's usually for the service provider's sake, so that they're not constantly getting overwhelmed.
I don't like that. I want to know right now.
Yeah. So that's the difference. That's just one of those, I need it right now. And in the sake of a troubleshoot, right? Hey, I need to get this out because I'm on a time crunch. If I have to restart a device and then go through some archaic log and then trying to restart, this time it worked, but only halfway, versus something that I can say, deploy now. It failed. Go look at the logs, make a change, say deploy now again, and the immediacy of that.
Yeah, I like that. And so Zeto just said 18 to 24 months to get SCCM. So yeah, I haven't used SCM, but I researched it to make a video a while back, and SCCM felt like a warm, comfortable trauma blanket. Like I got in there and I was like, oh, this feels familiar. Like if you're used to the Windows ecosystem, you're like, okay, this makes sense. I get it.
Yeah.
It's very similar, but it's a beast.
Well,
I mean, it just looks like it took forever.
It does. If
Yeah.
I can jump in for 1 second,
Yeah.
a good friend of mine was hired to be the SCCM guy. Most places that rely on it have to have at least one, full-time employee just to run it. So there is that huge expense and training and time, like you said, 18 months to get this thing dialed in. It's tough.
Yeah, it's not small. The other thing, I know we have some questions, Kelly, but I just want to mention one other scenario that I can imagine really wanting Smart Deploy is if you get hacked, crypto locked, you need to reimage a bunch of computers really quickly. That'd be super nice.
Yeah, that's a fair point too. Like in a recovery situation like that, you may want a full-on reimage, and not just a restore. And something else that's like this side note to someone looking at Autopilot is you have to have that built-in Windows recovery partition. Which for those of us that have been imaging for a very long time, we like almost always get rid of that. Right? Like that's gone. So like your prerequisite there is kind of weird. Like you can do some stuff to get it back, but there's that hidden prerequisite that's on there. I think the chat saying a lot of things about, hey, I use SCCM plus PDQ. I use configman plus PDQ. I use this plus.
Yeah.
It's almost always
something
plus.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost always that declarative plus imperative because you need something to do that broad sweeping like policy stuff. And then you also need something that I need to do my job and I need to do it right now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a better together story. And it's like you got your box of tools. Go pick the one that's right for the right time.
Yeah. So again, imaging versus provisioning.
Yeah.
Put them together. Put something together. That
Put
works
something
for you.
together. Yeah.
Kelly, do you have questions we want to do?
Yeah, we have a few, so let's dive in, shall we? First question up is from Garen K. Can you schedule computers to be repeatedly imaged in Smart Deploy? I have a use case and I'm using Phoronix Deep Freeze on a handful of machines, but it doesn't handle OS app updates well.
You can, but is Jeff still here or did he drop off?
I think Jeff is still on.
here.
I'm not going to answer, but I'll let Jeff answer. But
You can schedule imaging. Nothing automated in every Tuesday or whatever, re-image these machines. But we can schedule a time so I can select all the machines I need, image at this time on this date. But I'd have to kind of just keep setting it like that.
Okay. So there's not like a recurring trigger. It's like you just schedule in the future over and over.
Yep.
Got it. Cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Exactly.
Okay, we have a couple that are actually more like feature requests, but might be good for Jeff to chime in on these. When can we use a OneDrive cloud drive that's based on a group or team instead of an individual user's personal OneDrive? Licensing another M365 account just for this? Yeah, kind of sucks. Sincerely, Just Rob.
Just Rob, I agree. That's a great feature request. Unless I'm mistaken, Jeff, and that you can do that now.
That is a great, I would like to see that as well. Yeah, it's whatever account you will just be able to sign in there.
Gotcha. Well, I
wish I had a time.
Sometime in the future.
All right, we have another feature request. Just Rob has another one. Can you add NS lookup to SmartPE's command, please? It's hard to diagnose DNS issues without it.
That's fair. I do think that if I remember my deep Windows knowledge, that NS lookup also requires a good chunk of the rest of the Windows networking stack. So it's not just like a pop in there.
you can't just do it right after the webcast, Josh?
No. No, but I do think that it does require probably a good chunk of that networking stack that might not be in PE.
And that is it for questions.
Noted. Okay, well, we aim to have an honest conversation. Do you think we achieved it?
I think we did. I think there's pros and cons to both. I think you need to choose the right tool for the job and what fits your organization. Like ultimately in IT, we're serving our organization, not necessarily just us and what we like best. And it's making the right choice to be agile and to be able to respond to the needs of the business.
Agreed.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for watching, you guys. For PDQ, I'm Tara.
And I'm Josh.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Just, Rob, and Garen K., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info, including where you would like said swag to be sent. Send that to webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.